Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to explain the concept of communication process in real-time communication security. So we'll see what is meant by communication actually. So the communication is nothing but how they are connected together, either devices, either persons. So how the person is going to be communicated with another person. So there are different types of communication processes. So in that, how they are able to communicate with one person to another person. So here we can see. So communication process, a security services, it is one type of security services like such as privacy, authentication, e-message integrity and non-repudiation. So these are all some security services. So privacy is one type of security services. We need to send the data as much as confidential. And authentication is the sender and receiver both are authenticated. And the message integrity, so no message has to be modified during the transmission. And message integrity, the message has to be the same with the sender and the receiver side. Non-repudiation, so the message is not going to be modified or message is not going to give any chances to modify the data. So these are all some security services are usually provided by using public key cryptography. So here the concept called cryptography is a very important concept that provides some key management mechanism that is used for providing the security of the communication process. So typically there are three different scenarios of email communication. So in real time we are communicated with the persons through different social medias, through different chat medias. So in that, one mail communication is the scenario which is having the public key cryptography. So here we will discuss the methods of achieving above security services in these scenarios. So we are going to provide this communication process along with the security services, So here we can have different types of security services and different types of scenarios that we are going to provide a communication of emails. So here the first one is what? One-to-one email. So one-to-one email. The name indicates that the person, the sender and the recipient are both are the ones. So sender is one person and recipient is also one person. So sender can able to send one mail at a time, to the recipient mail. So one mail at a time, recipient mail. So here the sender sends an email message to only one recipient. So the one sender can send only one message or only message to the one recipient. So one sender can send one recipient. Usually not more than two mail transfer agents. So here the name called MTA is helps to transfer the mails. So he is nothing but a mail transfer agent. He is the role or he is the person or is the tool or is the service. You can say anything. Which provides a communication process and which provides a transfer of the mail. So mail transfer agent. MTA stands for mail transfer agents are involved in the communication. Suppose I have the mail and I am the sender. And here the recipient. So recipient mail and recipient address. So here the user authenticated and the sender also authenticated, receiver also authenticated. So sender mail ID has to be authenticated and receiver mail ID has to be authenticated. If those two mails are authenticated, only the mail transfer agent can forward the message to the recipient. Only If those two, sender and receiver's mail, are authenticated, then only mail transfer agent sends that message or sends that mail to the recipient. Sends that message or sends that mail to the recipient. So here the user authentication sends an email to its local MTA. So here the mail transfer agent is nothing but a role, a service, a protocol, a policy, or anything. Anyway, you can say that a mail transfer agent is a service or it is a protocol. Here, the SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, acting as a mail transfer agent for the sender side. And this sender MTA forwards email to another MTA. So this is another MTA is nothing but this is the receiver MTA. There is nothing but receiver mail transfer agent. So here the sender's mail transfer agent. So both sides, the SMTP protocol is acting as a mail transfer agent. So once the sender authenticated with the receiver mail ID, then you can forward the mail that user authenticated sends an email to its local MTA, that is called SMTP, local MTA or SMTP. So now this MTA forwards email to another MTA. So that is nothing but receiver side MTA. Now from sender MTA it forwarded to the receiver MTA. Now user authenticated for the recipient side, for the receiver side, retrieves the email with the help of POP and IMAP protocols. So here the POP stands for Post Office Protocol, as well as IMAP stands for Internet Mail Authentication Protocol. So now the mail has to be forwarded from sender MTA to receiver MTA. After received from the receiver side, the receiver got the mail with the help of this POP and the Internet Mail Access Protocol. With the help of this both Post Office Protocol as well as Internet Mail Access Protocol, the mail has to be received by the recipient such that the mail is not modified and the mail is not lost anything, because those two sender and receivers are authenticated. Both two sender and receivers are authenticated and they are providing the privacy mechanism. If you want to apply sending security mails also, you can send security mails. So this is the way the communication process for one-to-one communication mechanism, one-to-one email process. So this is the way we can understand that in the communication process, one-to-one email can be forwarded with the help of such names called as mail transfer agents and user authenticated. So here, this is the way we can understand one-to-one email processing. So let us assume that a sender wants to send a confidential email to recipient. So what we explained in the previous slide, here we are going to explain all the terms. The provision of privacy in this case is achieved as follows. The sender and receiver have their private public keys. Sender and receiver have their private and public keys. And receiver having private and public keys. So here both senders having private and public keys and receivers also having both privates and public key. Now those two users having both private and public keys respectively. The sender generates a secret symmetric key which is called KS for encryption process. Now sender generates a secret symmetric key which is called KS for encryption purpose. So the sender could have used R public key for encryption. So sender would have used public key for the receiver side for encryption. A symmetric key is used to achieve faster encryption and decryption. So here the symmetric key usage is what? To achieve the faster encryption and faster decryption. So you need to encrypt the mail which is the faster and decrypt the mail with the faster mechanism. So for that this symmetric key is used. And the sender encrypts the message with the key S and also encrypts the KS with public key of the recipient. Now, sender sends encrypted message and encrypted key to the recipient. Sender sends encrypted message and encrypted key to the recipient. Now, recipient first obtain key by decrypting encoded key using the private key. That is nothing but receiver side private key. The recipient then decrypts the message using the symmetric key. So here the communication process having both the keys, applying public keys and private keys. So here whenever the sender sends mail to the recipient, he establishes with the public key. Of using this public key, you can able to encrypt the data and sends that encrypted data to the receiver side. Now receiver having this private key, with this private key receiver is going to decrypt that message and he can able to see the contents of the message. So here they can use the symmetric keys. For both encryption and decryptions called as a public key and a private key. Public key and a private key. So this is the way we are using a keys as a key management for the purpose of encrypting and decrypting the mails. And second one is what? One to multiple recipients email. So one to multiple. So here the sender is only one. But the receivers are R1, R2, R3 like that, multiple receivers. So here the sender sends an email message to two or more recipients. The list is managed by the sender's email program, which is called as UA plus local MTA. So that is nothing but user authenticated plus local mail transfer agent. So with this, the local mail transfer agent maintains a number of mail transfer agent. So this is one agency or a group or a block, we can call it as, because the data which is coming from the sender, the mail which is coming from the sender has to be distributed over all recipients, so that this block or this group is distributing each and every mail to each and every recipient mail transfer agents. So now the sender sends a mail to the all recipients. So before receiving all these messages to the recipient side, the mails are all stored in the a block called the local MTA. So in this block all the messages are to be stored. Now each and every mail is transferred with the help of MTA1, MTA2 or MTA3. So like the way the number of mails are to be forwarded to the recipients with the help of these mail transfer agents. All the mails are got to be delivered or received by the recipients. So this is the way one to multiple recipients emails. So this is the way we can understand that multiple emails are to be forwarded to the multiple recipient 1, recipient 2, recipient 3 like that. And if one to distribution list email, so in this scenario the sender sends an email message to two or more recipients, but the list of recipients is not managed locally by the sender. So but here one to multiple recipients, the local MTA managed all the recipient mails. But here the list of recipients is not managed locally by the sender. Generally the email server MTA maintaining the mailing list. So all the mails, suppose abc@gmail.com, xyz@gmail.com, 123@gmail.com, 456@gmail.com, all these mails are all these list of mails are located or maintained in the mailing list called email server. Email server, which is nothing but MTA, mail transfer agent. So here in this mail transfer agent, all the mails are to be maintained. Now, the sender sends an email to the MTA. The sender sends an email to the MTA managing the mailing list, and then the mail is exploded. Mail is exploded by MTA to all recipients in the list. So, whenever the mail has to be forwarded to the multiple list, automatically all the mails are to be stored in the MTA. All the mails are to be stored in the MTA. Now, the mail is exploded each and every one to all the recipients in the list. All the recipients in the list. So, whoever the mails are loaded in the recipient mails, all the mails got to be delivered to the recipients. So, like the way each and every mail is got transferred or got delivered to the recipient's side. So, in this case, when the sender wants to send a confidential email to the recipients of the mailing list, say receiver 1, receiver 2 and receiver 3. The privacy is ensured as follows like this. The sender and all participants, all recipients. So here the sender, exploder and receivers. Sender, exploder, receivers. So here from sender to the list with the list of public key of KS, content KS of M. Content KS of M. Which exploder maintains all this. Exploder maintains all this with the help of this receiver's public key or receiver's private keys. So now let us look here. The sender and all recipients have their own pair of private and public keys. So sender and all recipients both have their own pair of private public keys. Now the exploder server has a pair of private public key for each mailing list. So exploder maintains all the list of mails from the senders as well as receivers. Along with that, this private public key for each mailing list, private and public key for each mailing list called as list of public keys as well as list of private keys maintained by it. Now the sender generates a secret symmetric key S and then encrypts the message with this key. So sender generates a symmetric key and then encrypts the message with this key. Encrypt the message with this symmetric key. The sender then encrypts the KS with the public key. The sender encrypted the data with the help of public key associated with a list. So the list contains the list where it is actually there. The list of public keys and list of private keys are available in the exploder. List of public keys and the list of private keys are available in the exploder. Now the sender encrypts the data with the help of public key. Which is available in the list of public. So now the list contains all the public keys and the public key acting as a symmetric key for the encryption of the data for the sender. Now sender sends encrypted message and a list of public key. The exploder MTA decrypts the list using list private key and obtains a symmetric key. So the exploder encrypts KS with as many public keys as there are members in the list. So the MTA exploder can have the local encryption process which is forwarded to the recipient side. Now the exploder forwards the received encrypted message and corresponding encrypted keys to all recipients in the list. Corresponding encrypted keys to all the recipient list. For example, the exploder forwards the encrypted message and public keys to the recipient 1 and so on. So now the explorer can have the public key for the sender side and now receiver having the mails which is from sender side R1 with the R1 list of public keys and so on. So content is what? Some symmetric key of message. So here the mail got encrypted as well as message also got encrypted. So both are encrypted and both are encrypted using the symmetric keys. Both are encrypted using symmetric keys, which contains a list of public keys, which contains a list of public keys and a list of private keys, list of public keys as well as list of private keys. So with the help of this list of public keys and private keys, the explorer sends mail with the help of these keys to the receiver side. Now receivers receives that all the messages. Along with that messages, they got all the private keys also, because list of private keys applied. So now receiver got all the messages, all the private keys also, all the private keys also. So with the help of that private keys, the receiver going to decrypt all the messages and they can able to see the contents of the data, see the contents of the data or mail. So this is the way one to a distribution list, one to distribution list. And emails are most frequently used in today's commerce, right? And nowadays these are the most convenient way of communication for ordinary users. So even ordinary users can also able to send mails, forwarding mails. So emails are public and can be seen by everyone at every point of communication between two users. So one user can send the message and with all the sending mails are to be stored in sent mails, and all the received mails got to be stored in inbox called mailing list. So hence, because of their exposed nature, we can't write sensitive information in ordinary emails. So based on that exposed nature, so all the ones are going to see the contents of the mail, all the ones having the mails. So because of that exposed nature, we can't write sensitive information in ordinary emails. So for protecting from data forgery, for protection of data forgery and maintaining the confidentiality, we create a list of requirements and solutions. And this list includes all the security and protection for securing any mails. So we can provide a security of the mail by providing different security services. That's called message integrity, message confidentiality, message authenticity, and non-repudiation. So to protecting the data from forgery, we are going to maintain the confidentiality and creating list of requirements and solutions, which includes both security and protection for securing the mail. So these all the services of securing the mail. How we are going to securing the mails. So here the message integrity, what it means actually. It means what the receiver seen and what we sent is matched or not. So the message integrity is nothing but a cross checking of the sending mail and receiving mail. Sending mail and receiving mail. So both mails has to be matched. It helps to maintain the integrity of messages. So that means the message is not modified at anywhere. And message confidentiality, it makes sure that the message is not exposed on any route while it is going to the receiver. So message confidentiality is nothing but it makes sure that the message is not exposed at anywhere or at any route while it is going to the receiver side. So that message has to be confidential. That maintains the privacy. And sender authenticity, it means the receiver knows that who was the sender and receiver is very confident about it. So he can able to know that who is the sender and who is the receiver. But he cannot expose it that mail is received from so and so mail. So that sender authenticity also possible. Non-repudiation, it means the sender can't deny that he or she has sent the message. That means the sender can't deny that he or she has sent the message. So all these requirements must be fulfilled for an ideal secure mail. So here the sender cannot able to deny that he or sent the messages. So after sending the messages after sending the messages, that messages cannot able to deny. That is nothing but non-repudiation. So all these requirements must be fulfilled for an ideal secure mail. Ideal secure mail. And here the communication process between sender and receiver. So this is the composing mail which is available in the mail option. Compose mail. So before sending the mail to the receiver side, we have to encrypt the message. We have to encrypt the message. So encryption processing requested. So we are writing the process which is required for writing mails in two ways actually. So one is writing normal mails, and the second one is writing security mails, writing secure mails. So one is writing normal mails, the second one is writing security mails. So here the encryption process is required for securing the mails. So the encryption process is required for writing the security mails. So here, to composing the mails, after composing the mail, the encryption processing requested. Is it requested or not? Is it required or not? If yes, if you want to send a secure mail, you have to do what? You have to apply crypto mechanism. That crypto mechanism is nothing but applying encryption process. After applied encryption process to the message, to the composed message, then you can able to send that message. If you no need to write security mails, you can write normal mails, then no need to worry about this crypto mechanism. You can say encryption process requested is not available, not required. Now you can able to send message. Now from the receiver side, after receiving that mail in the recipient, if the mail wants to encrypt it, then yes, apply the crypto mechanism to decrypt the message. To decrypt the message, the mail has to be use the cryptographic keys which are available as a public key or private key. If you don't require, if you are viewing normal mails, then encryption process is not required. So directly you can view the message. You can view the mail. You can view the message also. But if you want to see the security mails, you have to apply crypto mechanism, which is nothing but you are decrypting the data, which is already encrypted at the sender side. Now the mail got received by the receiver side. Now receiver wants to see that message. So before going to see that message, he has to apply cryptographic keys, which are symmetric keys, which are private key. So after applying this cryptography mechanism, then he can able to see that message content. So this is the way of writing normal mails as well as secure mails. So this is the way you can write secure mails by doing such a process called encryption. And this side also they have to do the decryption process. So this is the way you can understand that communication process between both sender and receiver. So this is about the communication process between both sender and receiver. Now once we revise the topics which we discussed in this session, so here the communication process is implemented for providing the security services which are called as privacy, authentication, message integrity and non-repudiation. These are all the 4 security services which are usually using the public key cryptographies. So here we can use the different scenarios such called as one-to-one email distribution, next one to multiple recipients emails, and one to distribution list emails. So In the communication process, the mail transfer agent participating a major role to send the mails to the receiver side. Send the mails to the receiver side. So here, the mail transfer agent is participated as a SMTP protocol or a middleware or any bridge between both sender and receiver. Both sender and receiver. So here the way of communicating one-to-one process is mentioned in this diagram. And here the one to multiple recipients. So the sender sends message to the receiver side with the help of both message key as well as, that is nothing but symmetric keys, both message and encryption process. And similarly one to multiple recipients. So here we can apply the transmission technique to the multiple recipients. So local MTA forwards all the mails to the recipient side, so that all the mails got saved in the local MTA, which is acting as a servers or block or place. And one to distribution list. And in the one to distribution list, the explorer maintains all the list of recipient mails along with the list of recipient mails, all the list of public keys as well as private keys from the both sender and receiver. List of both private and public keys for the explorer. So all these public keys and private keys are maintained in this explorer, so that explorer sends a list of public keys to the receiver side. List of public keys to the receiver side based on the availability of the keys. So this is the one to distribution list. And to protecting the data from forgery, maintaining this confidentiality service for the security and protection process, we are having these four are the services. And these four are implemented in every mail mechanism. And here the way of transferring the messages in both normal message as well as securing mails. So sending the normal mails to the recipient side and sending security mails to the recipient side. So this is the way of we are communicating the process from one person to another person through a mail communication process. So you can write in two ways. You can write the mails in two ways. One is normal way you can write, and second one is security mails. Normal mails you are not using about any cryptography techniques, or you are not able to use any encryption process and decryption process. Simply you can write the mail composite. But whenever you are writing security mails, automatically you have to apply the process called encryption process to the message as well as mail, both message as well as mail. So after encryption process done, the receiver side, the message has to be decrypted with the help of same cryptographic techniques like public key and the private keys concept. So using that cryptography concept, we are writing security mails from the sender to receivers. So this is the way we can understand that. That's about the communication process. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.